God. Okay, so we are talking about class and objects today. Okay, we'll start our discussion on class and object. What is class? What is your opinion on class? Now, class, okay, in a crude way, okay, not so nice way, okay, it is collection of collection of related variables and functions. So we have seen functions. So if you group functions together under one name, so function is collection of text or commands, right? So function itself is a collection of command and giving it one name. And this is your collection of, okay, so this is your collection of what do you call the functions itself, right? So you group some functions together and put a name. Okay, so what's the purpose of doing that? Okay, that's more important. The purpose of doing that is, okay, that you are defining a complete, what you call, end-to-end process of how actually things work. Okay, so for example, okay, if you take this training, okay, so you can equate this training to as a function. So you're saying, okay, so this is a training. We have few people here. We are all together. Okay, we started the training and we're done with the training. But that's not how the life is, right? We all have our own lives, right? And training is just one part of our life, very small part of our life, right? We have so many things to do. So as an individual, we are objects, okay, which belongs to a certain class. Let's say we call our class as human being. Now there's again, class is just the definition. Object is what you see, what you use, what you work with, right? Now when I say human being, okay, when you say human being, what does that mean? We mean certain properties, right? So if I say that I have a dog sitting next to me, so you will assume certain properties, right? You will not ask me how many legs it has, how many hands it has, how many ears it has, okay, because you know all those things. But what you might ask me is what breed it is, what is the color of it, correct? So this is what you will ask me, right? So there are some properties which are specific to the class, and the class is just a definition. So human being, okay. So as just the definition doesn't work. As a human being, we work. I work, you work, we all work, right? But as a definition, it is human being. So again, if you talk about dog, for example, if you talk about apple, for example, apple is class, which means certain properties. But if you have to eat an apple, that class is not enough. You have to create an object of class apple. So how many class of apple will exist? Only one class, right? You have only one class of apple, and then you can have multiple objects belonging to that class, right? You can have unlimited number of objects. Now, when I say I'm holding an apple, all your knowledge about apple is now concentrated there, right? So if you define, okay, object like say it is red in color, it has this shape, this tastes sweet. So when I say, okay, I'm holding an apple, all those properties will be applicable. All those property will be applicable or not, right? So yes, all those properties will be applicable to us as to that apple also, because that's what we know about apple. So you define a class, and to use it, you have to call an object. So let's define a class called book, let's say. Okay. So I'm going to define a class called book, and then I'm going to show you how we can have different objects of that class book, right? So to define class, we use keyword class. We use keyword class, and you have to put keyword class followed by the class name. Okay, class followed by the class name. So I'm saying here class book colon. Okay, so this is the name I'm giving to the class called book. This is the name I'm giving to the class called book. Now I have to define the members of it, right? I have to define members of it, correct? So as I said, you can have multiple functions, you can have multiple variables. So I'm going to define variable called count, let's say, equal to 0. This is a variable. Now I'm defining a function. How do you define a function? You say def function name. So I'm going to say def get details. So I'm defining a function called get details. Now what happened here? Self keyword got attached automatically. Okay, self keyword got attached automatically. Okay, so what is the significance of self? We did not add self here, but we added self here. Okay, so let's see this. So I just said, right, when I say dog, okay, when I say dog, then you will not ask me how many legs it has, right? Why? Because all dogs have 4 legs. So the properties which are common, properties which are common to all the objects of the class. Okay, they are called class level properties. They are class level properties. Properties which are, okay, properties, okay, which are unique to each object. So now you understood the class and object, right? Class is a group. Class is just a group, just a definition. Okay, physically it does not exist, but the meaning exists. Dog, cat, apple, book. These are all properties that exist, but they are not usable. To use it, you have to hold a specific book, correct? To eat apple, you have to hold specific apple. The usable form of the class is object. Okay, so we also call it as instance of a class. Okay, we create instance of a class. Okay, it's a usable form. Okay, usable form of a class is object. Now, so as I told you, there are some properties which are common to class, some properties which are common to object. Properties which are common to class are called class level properties. Obviously, like if you talk about dog, number of legs, number of ears, correct? Number of tails. These are all properties of object, sorry, class. All dogs will have 4 legs, 1 tail, 2 ears, right? Now, color. Okay, color is an unique to your object, right? Now, it's possible that your dog is brown, somebody else's dog is white, somebody else has, black, right? So the color of the dog is unique to the object. It's not same to all the objects of the class. Okay, so we call them as object level variables, object level functions. Okay, object level variables and object level functions, because these are your different object level and class level, right? Okay, so the things which are common to all the class members or object are your class level variable. Now coming back to this example, when you put self here, it becomes object level. And this is, so again, so you have properties unique to each object. They are called object level. And what are the different types of properties? Properties can be variables and functions. Properties can be variables and functions. So now we end up getting 4 types of members for the class. We have 4 types of members for this class. Which are those 4 types of members? Class level variable, class level function, class level, object level, right? Object level variable, object level function. Okay. So now here, when you define a variable in the class itself, this is of type your class level variable. This is class level variable. For now, let's look at just class level and object level function. Okay. So this is your class level variable. Now this is your object level variable. Now, how do you know it's object level variable? Because you put the word self here. Now, should it be self? No, you can put anything. I can put ABC also. Need not be self. It can be anything. Okay. So when you are writing a function, okay, inside a class, the first member indicates that it's an object level function. Of course, you can use ABC. But, worldwide, international practice is to use self. International practice is to use self. That's why we use self. But we need not use self. Okay, you can use any variable that you want. You can use your name also. It doesn't matter. You can use your name also. It doesn't matter. Make sense? So we are just looking at 2 properties for now. Okay, let's see how they work, and then we will add more complexity to it. Okay, we'll keep on adding complexities step by step. Okay, so when you write a function, you have to write something here. So I'm going to say print, okay, this is get details. Okay. So our class, a simple class is ready. Okay, this is a simple class called book. We have count equal to 0 variable. We have a function get details, which is object level because we have used self inside. We'll see, okay, how our class level variable is written differently than object level in some time. But let's focus on these 2 now. So this class is done. A simple class is done. Okay, it need not have all 4. Okay, it need not have all 4. And it can have multiple copies of all 4, right? You can have multiple variables. You can have multiple class variables. You can have multiple object level variables. You can have multiple class level function, object level function. Now, when you come here, how do we create an object? So this is what you call as class definition, right? Defining a class called book. We are defining a class called book. Make sense? Okay. Now, how do we create an object of the class? How do we create object of this class? So we will say B1 equal to book. This is how you create object. Okay, we can create multiple infinite number. You can create as many objects you want. Nobody is stopping you. B2 equal to book. So equal to book is like defining that, okay, B2 is an object of class book. Now we can talk about, okay, from day 1, if you see the type of any variable, it would show us as object of int, object of list. Moment you say A equal to 5, A, okay, is treated as object of class integer. L1 equal to square bracket, L1 becomes object of class list. Similarly, when we say B2 equal to book, it became object of class book. So far, all clear? Okay. Now, how do I access the member? You can say B1 dot. Then see, this is how we've been using all the members, right? We have used all the class and objects so far. We are creating our own class and object now, but we've been using objects all these while. Okay, we've been using objects all this while. How? This is how we object, right? So when we say L1 equal to list, square bracket, and then we would say L1 dot append, L1 dot copy, correct? Similarly, you say B1 dot. Now you see, you have M for method, F, okay? So you have get details. Now when I call get details, it will say this is get details. All right. So we just created our first function. Is it function? No. Method. Function is independent of class. So last couple of classes, we created functions. Functions will not be part of any class. They are independent. Right? Now what happened? We created a function which is inside a class. So this is method. This is how we create method. Now, how is class different than method? Good question. Okay. The reason we will see in some time, and the reason they are different is the reason why we use class and objects. Okay. Now, let's say in get details, okay, in get details, we want in get details, we want to add or we want to get details of the book. Okay. So I'm saying instead of print, okay, I'm going to say title. Input, enter the title of the book. Okay. And I'm going to declare another variable called, let's say, author. Input, enter the author's name. Okay. So this is a function with two input parameters. Okay. Input where we are reading title and we're reading author. Okay. So title will have the title, author will have the author. Now I'm going to create, okay, another method. Method, member of function which belongs to a class, right? So def, I'm going to say put details. I want to display the details here. I want to print title and author. Now tell me, can I access this title and author variable from here? No. If you remember our first day of functions, what we said that these variables have a scope, life. Since we have declared this title and author inside the function, we can't use it here. We can't use it here. Okay, we can't use it here. Okay, why we can't use it here? Because this is a normal variable. This is not even class level. This is not object level. This is normal variable. Now, normal variable, okay, will have a life, will have a scope. You can use within this function method. You can use within this method, but you can't use outside this method. If I say, okay, print title, let's say title, and I'll say by, and I'll say author. Now see, PyCharm is already giving us a red underscore. That what we did is wrong. Let's try to do this. B1 dot put details. And when we try to run it, it will say, okay, so title Q, author R. See, title is not defined. Did you mean tuple? Whatever, right? But title is not defined, correct? So what shall we do now? Okay, the reason we use class and object is because in this case, okay, you can say, now see, should I use count here? Shall I declare title here? I can declare title here. Okay, and I can declare author here. Okay, the problem with that is, okay, these become class level. So if these become class level, you have to use it differently. Okay, these are not class level, these are not object level, these are different function. Okay, normal variables which are have a limited scope. Can we declare this as class level? Now you tell me, title and author, are they class level variable or they are object level? They're supposed to be class level or object level. Every book will have different title. Every book will have different author. So they are not class level. Class level means same author, same book title. Correct? So they are definitely not same. They have to be different for object. So we cannot declare them as class and class level. We have to declare them as object level. So that's not a good idea. So how do you make them object level? You see this self, you add self here. So self dot is your object level, right? And here now you print self dot title. Now see, automatically it knows what value to pick. Okay, now you run it. Title of the book, I'll say Python. Author name, SR. And you see it says PY by SR. Okay. Now, should it be self? No, you can say anything, right? I can put ABC. So if you're putting ABC, you have to put ABC here. Okay. PY, SS. So see PY by SS. Whatever you put, same thing you have to use. That's why I said here, you're talking about object level. Okay, so when you talk about object level, what? If you say object level, this should be unique, isn't it? Okay, now that's not a good idea to use anything other than self, okay? Not that you can't, but it's not a good idea, okay? But let's use it for some time. So what I said, object level, unique for every object. So now you see, I said B1 dot get details, and now let's say I2 B2 dot get details. Okay, now, so this is B1 and this is B2. Now, if you, let's print B1 dot put details. It is able to maintain that relationship. It is able to maintain that relationship. So now when I run it, let's print B2, B1 first and B2 next. So I'm going to run it and I'm going to say enter the title of the book. I'm going to say Python by Swapnil. So this was B1, right? We got it from B1 get details. Now again, same thing comes, no, this is coming from B2. So here I'm going to say machine learning. And now I'm going to say Saurav, let's say. Now you see, Python by Swapnil. Why? Because we said B1 dot put details. It knows, oh, B1, we gave this. B2 dot put details, machine learning by Saurav, because we gave here. So it is able to maintain that relationship between B1 and B2 and B3 and B4. Any number of object is fixed. That's the beauty. We have not linked anywhere. automatically it maintains. Okay. So if I say that I have a dog with with black color. Now my brother has a dog with brown color. That information is registered in your mind. If I ask you what's the color of my dog, you will tell my color, color. Because I gave you different objects. They are same dog. Class is same dog, but objects are different. You will be able to distinguish between the information of different objects. Okay, so this is your object level. That's the beauty of object level. So far we have only seen object level variables and object level functions. We haven't used this, right? Count. Okay. So now, okay, this count is here, right? Now, every time you do get details, I want to increase the count by 1, let's say. So if I put count here, it becomes a normal variable, right? I have to use a class variable. So you have to say book dot, not self dot. If I do self dot, it becomes object level. I will use class name dot. Class name is book. Class name dot count. Okay. Here, since you are giving within this class, I don't have to mention it. Automatically, it is class level. But if you are using inside a method, you have to give class name. So class name dot count equal to plus equal to 1. Okay, plus equal to 1 indicates that you are increasing the count of book by 1. Now, if I have to print book, okay, so I can say book dot count. I can use it like print b1 dot count. I can even say print, okay, b2 dot count. All three will give same answer and the answer will be 2. Okay, so let's say A, B, B, A. Okay, so all is 2. Because, okay, this is class level. This is not dependent on any object. How many times this function is called? 2 times this function is called. So 2 times this will be called, right? Every time you call this method, this is called. And so you're increasing the count by 1 every time. You're increasing the count by 1 every time. So count, which was 0, first time when we say b1 dot, it became 1. And when we call b2 dot, it became 2. Okay. So since it's a class level, class name dot, object 1 dot, object 2 dot, object n dot will give you same answer. Okay. If I ask you how many legs dog have, or I ask somebody else how many legs dog have, they'll all give same answer, right? 4. Count means let's say number of books you have in library, right? So what is title of the book will be different. You have 10 books. So how many books you have? 10 books. But will the title of the all 10 books be same? No. That's why title and author will be per book, per object level. But your class name, class members will have same value irrespective of whether you call by object 1 or object 2. All right. So we'll stop here for today. Okay, we'll continue from here in the next session.